just made the motion to approve. All in favor? That will be unanimous. And for the record, Councilman Savoy will not be here for tonight's meeting. We have presentations tonight. Item A is introduction of Jim, and would you pronounce your last name?
Wadowitz.
Wadowitz, thank you. Our new finance director. I'll yield the floor to the town manager.
Yeah, I'd like to introduce Jim Wadowitz, who's joined us. This is day 2. He hails from up in Poughkeepsie, New York. Spent many years up there as their finance director, so he's joined us here as family that's been down here for a little bit, but he is here and he is actively engaged in the finances of the town with many boxes and books on his desk that he's having to plow through. So I want to welcome Jim aboard and glad that he's here. That's it.
Presentation B would be the Rotary check presentation. Ms. Robin McGrath. Mr. McGrath.
That would be our whole crew that's going to be presenting the check. If that's
Yes, you're the
okay.
spokesperson.
Greetings. Union West Rotary was chartered on April 2nd, 1996, with 33 members and John Munn as our president. We're extremely proud to be celebrating our 20th year anniversary this year, and we thank you for giving us this opportunity to share this with you. We meet every Thursday at 7:30 for breakfast here in this building, and thank you for allowing us to use this building every Thursday morning. Union West Rotary is a civic organization that supports internationally to eradicate polio and Alzheimer's research assisting. Locally, we support local projects like Cookies with Santa, and in 2005 started the Indian Trail Christmas Parade, support Union West Regional Library along with many other projects in community service area. In 2011, Union West Rotary pledged to pay $50,000 for the amphitheater located at the Crossing Paths Park. And we were asked to pay it over a period of 10 years, and this is in our 5th year. And we are proud to say that we are able to pay this off, our debt, in 5 years. And it is my honor to present the final installment to the town of Indian Trail. Thank you. So we present this check to you. This is our 20th anniversary, and this is a big deal for us. And we have our current president, Gary, and Ash, our incoming, and Pam, the next upcoming president in our group. If we could get a group picture, that would really be good. Thank you.
Yeah, how many do you want?
That's
all right.
Everybody.
Can we squeeze all of our Rotarians? I promise we'll be really quick. We won't do multiple photo takes.
Room over here.
Yeah, come on, don't be shy.
We can go around. We don't bite too hard.
No, we just wanted to make sure you guys got it.
Oh, come on, scooching on in. Come on, Amy, scooching on in. We don't bite. Maybe you do.
Yeah, everyone's got to get a lot closer.
We don't bite.
Breathe in.
Come on.
The panorama.
There you go.
Yeah, let's layer it.
So who are we looking at? Just looking and smiling.
Let's look at me first if we can. 1, 2, 3. All right, thank you.
Hey.
One, two, three. One in the middle. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, these can't take it.
Take care of that?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great job. Yeah.
I am. See you guys. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
closes out presentations. Brings us to public comments. As a reminder, these meetings are recorded and can be heard by anyone on the internet. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. The speaker cannot give their allotted minutes to another speaker to increase that person's allotted time. Comments are to be directed to the town council as a whole and not individuals. Citizens will be expected to be civil in their language and presentation and not to engage in slander, name calling, and refrain from use of profanity. Audience as well as speaker will maintain order and decorum in their conduct throughout the public comment period. When you come to the podium, please state your name and address. Michael Falkenberg.
Good evening, Michael Falkenberry, 519 Big Circle. Last November, on Election Day, I had the honor of running for town council, and I heard many conversations from residents and other candidates regarding the situation of Indian Trail. At the SBC location, one of the other candidates came up to me and approached me and said if he was reelected, he would have an opportunity to redeem himself for the mistakes made in his previous term. So again, I'm still waiting on a public apology, which was promised to me in a government email. Also, there's a possible issue of Facebook pages mimicking those of the town of Indian Trail. I posted 2 comments on a Facebook page I assume belong to the town of Indian Trail. I sent emails to the council, 2 or 3 staff members, and I didn't get an exact answer as to who owns what Facebook page. My suggestion is council should address social media policy to make sure what Facebook page belongs to whom, because you don't want people to get confused as when they're posting questions or comments. They're assuming it's going to the town, and in doing so can damage the reputation of the town if those comments or questions are removed or never answered. Also, on the 4th of July parade, there's a history that all the council members do not participate in this parade. And I don't understand as to why. On the vacation has a reason for it. I suggest all 5 town council members, as a show of unity, can at least put their differences aside and participate in this 4th of July parade. That's all I have. Thank you. Yeah.
At this time, I'll close public comment and open the floor for public comments for fiscal year 2016-2017 budget development. There was no one that signed up, so I will close those public comments. And at this time, it's for the law enforcement update. Lieutenant Coble, I yield the floor to you. Welcome, sir.
Good evening, Council. Shirley's already told me to be brief, so. First off, I want everybody to just take a minute, and our good friend Larry Miller's in here, and he just told me that he just got out of the hospital. And I think it's a good thing that we've got Larry back with us, because I've asked him, where you been at? Have you been hiding? He said, actually, I was hiding. I was in the hospital for 3 months. So, Larry, I just want to say on behalf of me, I'm glad to see you back here, brother. So, good to see you. A couple things I want to make you aware of, and then a couple of ongoing investigations that I can't go too far into because of current search warrants that are going on for some information right now. But since the last time that we met and talked, we've since had another armed robbery at a restaurant here in town on Friday, March 11th at 9:42 in the evening. The Subway on Unionville Indian Trail Road, which is catty corner right behind the 7-Eleven, right over here like you're going to Walmart. Had a black male enter the store with a handgun, robbed employees of money. During the time of the robbery, Deputy Eric Mangum had just finished a traffic stop and was sitting in the Cake Skating Rink parking lot right across the street. So our response time to that was pretty much 0. But what happened was one of the employees ran out of the business and ran over to the 7-Eleven and called it in. So as Mangum was coming across the highway and watching and looking, he's focused on the 7-Eleven because that's where the call came from. I think we could have ran a circus of elephants behind the 7-Eleven and he would have not seen it because he was, focused on that one particular thing. We do have a little bit of video and we do have a hopeful lead on that case. But what was surprising to me when I got up here that night was that we had 12 deputies that responded to that scene itself. And it came from throughout different, various parts of the county. But since that time, that made 4 now of armed robberies that we've had at our Business 74 corridor since the beginning of the year. So what we've done is we've dedicated and been working with our detectives to staff plainclothes detectives for surveillance along the 74 corridor, the fast food area, and the gas station. We've also been working extra manpower for a uniform presence on alternating nights for that. So our crime analyst has put together a little bit of information from us, trying to hopefully predict. You know, if we had that crystal ball, it'd be a whole lot easier for us, but we are taking steps to try to increase some things. We've been working with neighboring jurisdictions. Matthews has had a couple, and we're trying to see if they fit into the same model of what we've been having as far as armed robberies going on. But then on Sunday, to March the 13th at 12:28, we had an armed robbery in the Suburban Estates neighborhood, which is off of Secret Shortcut Road, Spring Harvest Drive. And that robbery came in as a citizen that got robbed, and pretty much started with no leads, and our detectives were able to work with CMPD. And I was telling Scott earlier in the week last week about this one. It's pretty interesting is that they've been able to identify the car used in the robbery, and they did that through tag readers and also through video surveillance that Charlotte has stationed throughout Mecklenburg County and up around you know, the downtown area, because our victim had went to Charlotte and then came back here, and we felt like they were followed, and we pretty much confirmed that. So we're working on some search warrants on that case. We've got a good suspect identified, just at this point waiting on the paperwork part of it so that we can get the rest of it together and move forward with criminal charges. During the week of March 14th, any of you that's got kids at Sun Valley High School know that there's been a whole rash here in the past few weeks, but especially this past week, of threats written on the walls in the bathrooms, kids taking pictures of them, putting them out on social media. You know, school's going to blow up tomorrow. Mama, Daddy, please don't send me to school. We've been working with the school system. First couple times that happened, the school system allowed them to have a excused absence, which has prompted a whole lot more now. Porter Ridge then had some. We started seeing some in other areas of the county. So if you're going to give them a free fishing day for writing something on the bathroom walls, then they're pretty much going to keep doing that. So this past week alone at Sun Valley High School, there were 3 different threats written on bathroom walls, and there were 3 different fires started in the boys' bathrooms. And when I say fire started, I'm not talking a 3-alarm fire, and I'm talking a smoldering roll of toilet paper found, you know, during in between classes and stuff. And so Joseph Whitley's the school resource officer over there, and Joseph has been in some of these meetings before. He used to be one of the Indian Trail contract deputies before he went over there to be the SRO. And I got to give him a pat on the back. You know, we all spent a lot of time over there this past week, dedicating ourselves to being seen by the kids and making sure that they knew that we're liable to be standing around in the bathroom when you come in here on your break. And Joseph was able to work with a lot of video over there and talk to a lot of kids. Developed a 14-year-old male suspect being responsible for the written threats. So that case is moving forward through juvenile justice. And then a 17-year-old male was identified for starting all 3 of the fires in the bathroom. So needless to say, those kids aren't going to be there this week. And we hope that that sends a message to the rest of their kids that are over there. We want to finish out the school year. It takes a lot of resources, and it takes puts a lot on the parents, because it leaves you up in the air as to whether or not you want to send your kid to school or not. That school has a pretty large capacity, and a few weeks ago they had a attendance of a little over 200 and something, because you know the school system pretty much said if you want to be out today, then we'll give it to you excused, because there was a rumor of a threat going around. And I think we got to move past that and make sure these kids got a good, safe environment over there. So dedicate a lot of time to that. This past Friday, just to throw this out there, I participated in a conference call with Andy Lewitzki, the director. He's the director of toll operations with NCDOT Turnpike Authority, and we reached out to them because if any of you have been driving up around Bonterra, Secret Shortcut, Unionville Indian Trail Road, you're starting to see it. It's coming, and that big monster is making its way to us. So a lot of these trees are standing today and gone tomorrow. And so we've been already in contact with Monroe Bypass Constructors, the company that's actually doing the work. So we want to go ahead and start building a relationship from a public safety standpoint with the operators of the road whenever it gets up and going. So we've already had a really good phone conference with them, and we're planning a regional meeting to where they're going to meet with all the public safety entities that will have jurisdiction on the turnpike, and then also talking with them. One of the big things that I'll probably steal their thunder in saying, but I thought this was cool enough to go ahead and share, is that road itself is going to have a brand new wrong-way driver alert system on it, meaning that the cameras and the toll cameras that are put in place will be able to detect a wrong-way driver, and the message boards that will be in place at all the corridors and up and down that road will be able to immediately then alert traffic that, hey, you've got an oncoming driver coming in your lane. And then they automatically send to their regional monitoring center there in Charlotte for NCDOT for the cameras. They send them an alert so that they instantaneously know that there's a wrong-way driver on the toll road. What we're working through and trying to get arranged is for them to go ahead and send that instantaneously to our 911 operations center as well. You know, the best thing that's going on that is the message board, because even by the time I get up and on the toll road to try to get that car intercepted, then, you know, the wreck's already happened most likely. And so a lot of those happen at nighttime. Some of them happen from impaired drivers. So we just had a recent one here on 485 over the weekend with a wrong-way driver. So I think that's awesome news to hear whenever Andy told us that, you know, that was a brand new software, brand new system they were going to be putting in place on this Monterey bypass. And so I wanted to share that. And like I said, it's going to take some of their thunder, but at the same time, I think that's, you know, good news. We're all worried about what they're bringing to us in our community. Good thing is, I think they're really trying to make it the best road they can make it whenever they bring it here in the safest road. The last thing I've got, some of you may have seen on social media here in the past week, Chris Byram, he's the Weddington SRO, School Resource Officer. He used to be assigned to Indian Trail up until this past year whenever he moved down to Weddington to be their SRO. He's got a little boy by the name of Clay. He's a little over 1 year old, and he developed what they call staph scalded skin syndrome this past week and had to go to Chapel Hill. Luckily, he's doing good now, but in case anybody had seen it, I've had a lot of asking, you know, from the community, people asking about it because his picture with his dad in uniform, it's kind of been floating around on social media, but he's back home now. Just got to stay, you know, got an ointment that's got to stay on, pain medications, but to see the pictures of that child a week ago was terrible, because it basically looked like 3rd-degree burns all over his body and on the insides of his mouth and stuff. So we're glad he's back home and doing well. So, any questions before I sit down and end it? Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Brings us to the consent agenda. I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Mr. Collins made a motion to approve the consent agenda. All in favor? Motion approved unanimously. Brings us to public hearings. We have public hearing, which is CZ 2015-005, Waxhaw Indian Trail Road. This is a rezone request to establish a conditional zoning single-family district for 49 single-family units on a parcel of approximately 16 acres. The proposed project is intended to be a senior housing concept development. The parcels are located on the east side of Indian Trail Road, north of Blanchard Circle. Parcels are as follows: 07117010, 07117010A, 07117010B, and 07117010C. The applicant is Blake Communities, BP2-SC LLC. There you are.
Good evening, council members and Mr. Mayor. For the record, my name is Gretchen Cooper, and I'm senior planner with the town of Indian Trail. Before you is conditional zoning 2015-005. The request is to rezone approximately 16 acres made up of several parcels located on Waxhaw Indian Trail north of Blanchard Circle. The existing zoning is SF1 single-family residential, and the proposed zoning is a conditional SF5 single-family residential. The intent, as Mr. Mayor read into the record, is to develop approximately 49 single-family detached homes. This will be senior housing concept, age targeted, and the applicant is in the audience to explain that a little bit further. That just means that it's not age restricted and will not have restrictive covenants. The location again is on the east side of Waxhaw Indian Trail, just north of Arbors at Blanchard. The current zoning is SF1, the proposed zoning is SF5. With regard to the concept plan offers a single entrance point off of Waxhaw Indian Trail with the required roadway improvements along Waxhaw Indian Trail, and that is a left-hand turn lane with appropriate stacking. 49 lots, a 20-foot perimeter buffer along the entire property, and that's above and beyond what's required. Approximately 2.3 acres of open space, and that's approximately 1 acre above what's above and beyond what's required for this community. 2 stormwater management areas, which will be amenitized ponds, and approximately 12 guest parking spaces. In terms of the architecture, the homes will feature a mix of brick, stone, wood. as well as the two-car garage and the two-car driveway. They'll have decorative shutters and ornamented garage doors, and varying elevations on adjacent lots and lots directly across from each other. And that's to avoid monotony throughout the community and the streetscape. In terms of the comprehensive plan, this property is within the Old Monroe Village. The existing land use is medium density, and the density permitted is approximately 2 to 4 dwelling units per acre. The proposed density is three units per acre, and that's within the permitted density. And if I can just go back to one of the previous slides, I will show you that it's also within what's in the surrounding area. So we have Colton Ridge, that's approximately 2.7, Satterfield 2.6 dwelling units per acre, and Arbors at Blanchard, which is approximately 2.4 dwelling units per acre. In terms of outside agency feedback, we sent the project out for review and got the following comments back. NCDOT did not require a TIA, which means there's no traffic analysis that was required, but they did require improvements along Waxhaw Indian Trail Road, as I've described before. The fire marshal is in general approval of the concept plan. The Union County Sheriff Department just wanted to ensure that there was enough driveway space without the cars blocking the sidewalk, which we believe that we've addressed by having a larger setback, front setback of 25 feet. And the following public schools are assigned to this project. Indian Trail Elementary, which is below Watch level, and Sun Valley Middle and Sun Valley High. Sun Valley Middle is below Watch, and Sun Valley High is currently at Watch level. There were 2 community meetings for this project on January 27th. Approximately 4 members of the public attended. The main focus of the discussion was drainage issues and construction from Arbors at Blanchard, which this project will not affect Arbors at Blanchard, and future drainage and flooding concerns. And I'll go into a little bit further how we believe that we've addressed that. So in terms of drainage, one of the questions that we got was where in relation to our property, and if you see on this side, that's Colton Ridge. So one of the questions that we got was where in relation to our property will the ponds be? And this is not to scale, but this just is a depiction of where the ponds will be located. Now, behind the ponds on the east side will be a 20-foot buffer, 20-foot perimeter buffer. And beyond that, on the Colton Ridge side, there's an existing 15 to 20-foot buffer on the Colton, owned by Colton Ridge HOA, which will not be affected by this project. The 2 stars depict where the ponds will tie into in terms of drainage, and the applicant is here to kind of go into the technical information about how the ponds tie in and what that does to alleviate drainage. So in terms of the conditions of approval, we have drafted an ordinance with draft conditions, which we believe that address all of the comments and the requirements for this project. They essentially address the concept plan implementation, roadway improvements, as well as others. Planning board heard this item at their February 16th meeting of this year and had questions regarding mainly the interior roadway width and safety in terms of fire. They wanted to make sure that it was adequate enough to accommodate a fire truck, which it is. It's approximately a 50-foot right-of-way, which is a standard right-of-way, and that does accommodate a fire truck. Sidewalk widths, lot sizes, and mail kiosk accessibility, and that was the mail kiosk accessibility. They just wanted to, they just had questions, this being a senior targeted community, whether or not if someone had an impairment, if they would be able to access the mail kiosk. And the kind of conversation that came out of that was if they needed to, USPS would deliver to the house. If they needed to set that up, if they couldn't access the kiosks. In terms of planning board action, planning board did make the required consistency findings, and they voted 5-0 to approve the amendment as presented. And if I can, at this point, just read the findings into the record. The proposed map amendment is consistent with the following goals of the comprehensive plan. Land use and housing goals number 1, 2, and 5. The proposed project promotes compatibility of land uses between neighboring properties and residential properties within surrounding jurisdictions, increases the diversity of housing options within Indian Trail, and proposes high-quality design to promote attractive land development. And mobility and transportation goal number 3, the proposed development incorporates pedestrian amenities and connectivity throughout the community, as well as opportunity to connect to any future development directly north of this development. The request for this conditional zoning district is a reasonable request and is in the public interest because it supports the goals of the adopted comprehensive plan and includes elements that benefit the general public in areas of transportation, land use, and housing. And tonight we ask council to make 2 motions. The first is to receive the information and public comments. First motion would be to make the required consistency findings as read into the record by staff. And the second is to make a final decision whether to approve as presented, approve with modifications, disapprove the project, or request more information. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. As I said, again, the applicant is in the audience to answer questions as well.
Wyman?
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind, if you can yield the floor to me temporarily for about 5 minutes. I have a couple of items I'd like to talk through and get some clarification on as it relates to the application itself. Thank you.
Seems feasible.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So I was reviewing the application, and thank you for the wonderful presentation. Very clear and concise. I got a couple questions on the application itself. The first one is, it doesn't seem to be a date received on the application, at least the copy we have. I don't know what date it was actually received.
I believe it was. The submittal date was September 19th, 2015. And that's on the page 5 of your backup. It's under the planning board report cover page.
Okay, thank you. And for the project description, I noticed in the application itself, project description, I know you mentioned 49 lots as you were talking through there. However, from the project description on the application, it says XX lots. Is that normal for them to kind of just fill XX and not actually put the number of lots that they're looking for?
When we receive an application, a concept plan comes with it, and that is sometimes based on our comments, they may lose lots. So it's not uncommon to see that, as long as the concept plan itself has the adequate number of lots to address our comments, to address density and other requirements. That's not uncommon.
Okay. All right. Little concerned that they're not filling that out, because this is an official application for this process, right? I guess it'd just be helpful if they could at least have an idea when they put the project description in there for folks to understand that. Just my feedback anyway. Also, for the applicant itself, Lake Communities VP2 TAC SC LLC, it was interesting. I did some research and tried to find this particular company registered with some Secretary of State, and I noticed that there's Blake Communities. That there seems to be a Blake Community filed in Delaware as a corporation with headquarters in Delaware, and then of course they file in other locations as well as a foreign limited liability corporation. However, I didn't find this particular name registered as a business entity filed with any Secretary of State. So I don't know if anyone can provide some more clarity around whether this is.
If I may defer that to the applicant, I think that they would be the best,
Okay.
to answer that question.
Good evening. My name is Matthew Velkovich with Summit Land Services, 3556 Center Circle in Fort Mill. I'm the design professional that's representing the developer here for the project. I can ask him that question and get clarity on if that's been registered, and we can present some information.
Okay, that would be great, and I don't know if it's, you know, from a procedural perspective, if it's not a registered business, I don't know what the policies or rules are on that.
Well, let's find out, you know, but my assumption is that they didn't create the entity out of thin air and it's registered. And maybe they have a Florida address. You know, in North Carolina, you have to register it to be a Florida entity. I'm not sure what what's on their Secretary of State's website as opposed to North Carolina. So maybe at this point, I don't have any reason to believe it's not an actual entity. But if that's something that is important to you, again, the applicant or the representative to find the information.
Yeah, it's important. And we looked, so we searched in South Carolina, Georgia, North Carolina, and Florida, and Delaware, and we didn't find this particular entity. So, and the reason I bring it up, it's kind of important from an accountability perspective, right? If we're going to build these homes for our community and for our residents, then, you know, we have to make sure that it's a legitimate business that's coming in and building these homes. So if something were to happen, or if somebody has questions, or, you know, just from an accountability perspective, we have to make sure that we have that accountability in order. And also just because this is an official documentation, official paperwork that is signed and sealed and goes through a formal process, just want to make sure that we've got our I's dotted and T's crossed, so to speak, from that perspective. Question on the design of the home itself. So we're targeting 55 plus, correct?
Correct.
So if we're targeting that particular age group, one of the concerns that was raised and one of the questions that was asked is in the interior design of the home, is the airflow, the return airflow with the filters, you know what I'm talking about, with the ducts, are those going to be located in the ceiling, or are they going to be located at a lower level that doesn't require someone to actually step on a step stool to remove those filters?
If I could, for this, I'd like to defer that to Carrie Avant, who is Vice President of H&H Homes, who would be the proposed home builder.
Perfect. And I had the same question about the oversized front doors, just from a perspective of making sure that folks that may be in wheelchairs or at some point may be in a wheelchair, if they can get in and out of the home. My name is Kerry Avant. I'm Senior Vice President with H&H Homes. To answer your first question, I guess I need to give my address. It's 2919 Breezewood Avenue, Suite 400, Fayetteville, North Carolina. H&H Homes is a 25-year-old company headquartered in Fayetteville. We're a regional builder, building approximately 500 homes a year in the two Carolinas. Myrtle Beach, we have an office in Wilmington, an office in Charleston, office in Charlotte, office in Raleigh, as well as our home office in Fayetteville. To answer the question about the HVAC, it would be in the ceiling. The oversized front door is oversized, as well as all the other cased openings leading into bedrooms and bathrooms and other rooms would be a 3-0 opening that would accommodate wheelchair. This product is very popular today and becoming even more popular for people such as myself. You see it in two different forms, really. One is an age-restricted community, which restricts that at least one person living in the household has to be 55 years or older, usually. That restriction is there. They're heavily amenitized and very active communities. We have found that, and usually very large communities, to support all those activities. There are several of them in Charlotte, or surrounding area of Charlotte, that do extremely well. We find that more and more people want to be in what's considered an age-targeted neighborhood. And it's going after the same demographic, but it's a smaller neighborhood, more intimate, quieter, just more appealing to a lot of people that don't want all the hustle bustle activities, something to do every night, somebody bothering you with activities all the time. So we find it very popular. We've done a couple of these and had success with it. We're excited about this location. We're really excited about the size of it. And you know, there's almost no burden on the schools. We have one in Somerville, South Carolina, it's 109 units that we're in the process of completing. I think one person that lives in there has a child living in the home, and it's a grandparent situation. They've got custody of a child. So it's very rare. It's not to say that it couldn't happen, but it's just rare. I mean, people with the homes themselves really don't lend themselves to a family from a floor plan standpoint. And also, we find that most people that have kids want to be around other homes and other families that have kids. So the market kind of takes care of itself without restricting it from an age standpoint. But hope that answered the question.
No, I did. Thank you very much. And I have one final question. We talked about the retention ponds and tying into some of the flows. What does that downstream flow look like? So I understand you're going to tie into that. It's going to tie into another flow that's going to go somewhere else. Are we going to be impacting or impeding any of those other downstream flows?
Well, the area just downstream in Colton Ridge has storm drainage that was sized to accept it. I believe one of the pipes is a 42-inch and another one is an 18-inch. So as part of our analysis, we're going to have to make sure that we're not going to be overburdening those systems. So, but they were intended to accept water from these sites upstream of them.
Okay. All right, thank you. That's all the question I have.
I have one. How much are the homes? What are they selling for? What approximate range?
Probably in the starting in the 290s, going up to maybe 325, and people can upgrade from there. So I'm sure some of them will be more expensive than that, but our base plans will probably be in that price range.
I was riding over there yesterday, looking around, and that's a beautiful area over there. There's a lot of nice homes.
Yeah.
In that vicinity.
Well, Gretchen and the planning staff, we also modified the plan somewhat, doing all brick on the first floor on all four sides, and some other things from an exterior standpoint.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Any other comments from either of the representatives? Questions? Just a clarification on the name. You said HH?
It's
H&H.
technically it's H&H Constructors Inc.
Okay, thank you.
I do have one other quick question. Have you ever done business with the investor before, the one that's actually?
We have. They are out of Florida.
Yeah, I was just hoping you could answer that question.
But we've done, they are a firm that we use for capital sources. And if we find property that meet our criteria, or they find it for us, they will come in and purchase the land, develop the land, rezone it if necessary, and sell the lots back to us, and we'll build all the homes.
So you've done it for them before?
Yes.
And last question, and I'm just curiosity's sake, have you done anything in this area before, Charlotte area?
Yeah, we have 5 locations currently in Charlotte. We're in Mooresville. We're in the Concord area. We're in the Monroe area. We're getting ready to, we've been in the Lake Wiley area. And we are getting ready to, in a process of developing 162 lots in York County. And we're also currently working on an 80-acre site up in the Denver area.
Very good, and it's all H&H, is it?
All H&H.
Cool, thank you.
I have a question. I heard before that you were targeting 55 and over, and then you said that you has an age restriction in there.
No, we do not have an age
You
restriction.
don't?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Council, there's no one signed up for public comments. I'll open and close the public comments period. So there's motions that need to be made if anyone wishes to take the floor.
I would just like to make one comment, and I don't see anybody here to vote against it or talk against it in public comments. So unless, I'm just going to just give my opinion on it to the council, unless there is a council, out of respect for the council, I don't see why we wouldn't do it. But that's just me. So that's.
Yeah, I'll just add that. I think it's a great project. I just have some concerns about the inconsistencies with the business entity, and I just want to make sure that from the documentation perspective and from a procedural standpoint that, I'm sure it's a legitimate business, but it's not registered with at least any of the states we researched. So, if we could just get some clarification on that, I'd feel more comfortable.
Hold the vote.
Request more information. Yeah, request more information.
The motion.
So I'd like to make a motion that we request more information.
We do need the first motion first.
Actually, if you're not going to approve it, go ahead and direct a request for more information, and then when it comes back next time, you make the required consistency statement at that point.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and make the motion to request more information.
Be specific on the more information?
Yeah, more information on the particular business entity. With Lake Communities VP2 TAC SC LLC.
Mr. Wyman? Did you have something?
No, I was just going to add, we were up against some time frames. We've been going through this process with them, and I know we can get it straightened out, but is there a way to not delay it, to put it on a future agenda and just keep kicking it down the road, I guess?
And I appreciate and respect and understand that you want to get moving on this, but I just
Well,
want
we're under some contractual obligations that we're running out of time on.
Right, no, understood. Motion still stands, request for more information.
Okay. Mr. Wyman's requested to table this for requesting more information based on that particular Lake Communities or Lake.
Yeah.
As far as notice, do we need to move to continue this to the next meeting?
That's right, so that we don't have to re-advertise and notice. So if we had a date certain, we could probably not re-advertise.
What's the next meeting date? So if you want to move to continue this to April 12th, to put it back on the agenda to receive the additional information, I think that'd be perfect because it has to deal with advertising at the newspaper.
So request has been made to put it back on the agenda for the 12th for more information.
Correct.
All in favor? Opposed? Record stand, all are in favor, Mr. Cohen opposing. Motion approved, 3-1. Okay, council consideration to approve Chestnut Parkway Phase 2 for 65% design plan, right-of-way plans. Mr. Caulfield, the floor is yours.
This is a follow-up to our budget retreat that we had a few Saturdays ago. We said this was a current direction that we had from over a year ago to continue on the progress of the Chestnut Parkway. So we're directed to, at the time, do to a request for qualifications. Select some consultants for 2 projects. One was for studying Indian Trail Road, the other was for studying the other piece of the Chestnut Parkway. We went through that process, selected RS&H as the firm. For the Chestnut Parkway, the phase from Old Monroe Road to Gribble Road. You call it whatever phase you want to, the number's getting all jumbled, but there's 3. We've done 1. This is the second one. The third one is the big one over the railroad that the state's handling. However, so we have your first phase in this is to go through fee negotiations. So you go through your scope and fee, you work through the work that needs to be done, all your surveying, geotechnical work, your design fees, the hours, your end product. And so typically a roadway project this scope, we break it out into 2 phases. And we call it 65 or 75% design plans, or what they would call right-of-way plans. And that gets you to the point where you can begin your right-of-way process. So things all have to work together, so you make sure your design is set, then you move forward to your right-of-way. So you have a second round of design fees. This is the first round. We've been working on this scope and fee for a while, but following that discussion with the budget, the direction was to continue to move forward. So we're bringing forward to you as a recommendation to award the design fee to RS&H to get us to what we would call right-of-way plans for the segment of Old Monroe from, or Chestnut Parkway from Old Monroe Road to, excuse me, to Gribble Road. And that's it.
Mr. Harmon.
So the question, is this a pressing item at this point, or is this something that we could potentially postpone for a later time?
No, that could be postponed. There's no pressing.
And was this part of the, I remember there was, I think it was a presentation or some material that went out that basically made some reference to this was fully funded by...
Yeah, there was some misinformation that unfortunately did go out, that the piece over the railroad was fully funded, and that's the fact of the matter is that the town was fortunate to have the state request that project on their overall list for statewide projects, statewide funding, which is getting very competitive. So the Division 10, that covers the 5-county area here, they agreed to add that project to the list as one of they have each division would get, Adam, I guess you could say that each division would have like a few handful of projects that they could quote-unquote throw into the mix.
They got
10. So they selected ours as one of their 10. So that's why I say it was fortunate for us to do that. The estimate that was done, when there was a feasibility study back in 2006 by an engineering firm, and they broke out the phases. The middle phase was about an $18 to $20 million project. The state has only funded $3 million of that $18 million. So whoever had said that there was a fully funded project there was greatly mistaken. There's only $3 million that's currently in the STIP for that project, which is essentially startup money.
Any other questions? Mr. Crum?
On that particular, on the Chestnut Parkway there, is there a time constraint on the state or DOT helping us with that $3 million? Do we need to get some work done to get that? In other words, what I don't want to happen is you know, they're ready to give us money and we're not ready to build that road.
No.
No.
Sorry. And where would this money potentially come from if we were to approve this? Is this already a budgeted item? Or do we have to pull money from
Street bond.
From the street bond, so we have to essentially borrow against the street bond for this?
Yes. This was originally planned under the Transportation Improvement Fund, but remember those funds were rolled over just recently, so we've got, there's about $4.8 million left in the street bond, and that would be where we'd have to allocate that.
On this particular design, how much further down Chestnut Parkway is this taking us? as far as this study or whatever is going? What are we doing? How much?
We would be designing if you look at it in a segment, we're hitting the outside segments. We're leaving the middle piece alone because that's the railroad bridge over
So it's on the other side, basically.
Correct. It's from Old Monroe Road to Gribble Road.
Okay.
Correct.
All right. All right, and I'm thinking out loud too, because basically, I hate to say that, right now that road really doesn't go anywhere, and we need to get it to go somewhere, and eventually, you know, help out, you know, traffic-wise, coming from Monroe Road to 74 or whatever it's supposed to do. So I don't know by postponing it is gonna, you know, help anything other than make it longer to do before, you know, we can get to it. Just, and I always like to get this, what is your perspective being on you're an engineer on this? How do you feel about it? What are your feelings about us doing it, or the need of the road to be done?
Oh, there's the need's been, we've got a warehouse of data demonstrating the need. Actually, the right before the previous division engineer had retired, he had sent out some paperwork saying that the latest numbers that the Raleigh office came up with was there was going to be enough traffic in the future on the Chestnut Parkway that you would need a 6-lane facility.
Okay, that's all I need. Thank you.
Council, if there's no other further discussion, one question. Yes.
I very rarely, if ever, ask a question that's not legal, but this is what occurred to me. If you're saying this is basically the Old Monroe Road to Gribble Road side, and the middle part isn't designed yet.
Right.
If you're doing the design on that side, do you know what the tie-in is going to be to that middle part?
You've seen the cartoon, right?
Yeah,
So
where it
the
doesn't
cartoon
match.
where they do that?
Right, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Are you going to do something that's going to end up having to be redesigned if NCDOT comes in and does something to that middle section?
No, it's good.
2 years from now that's different than what is expected?
That's a good question. And like I say, back in 2006, the town hired a firm, HNTV, to do what they call a feasibility study. And that's where it's a very high-level study that looks at the corridor. You assess the need, you come up with a purpose and need statement to request funding. And part of that is they come up with alternative alignments. And there were 3 that were provided. There's actually a couple other scenarios thrown in there. But for conversation's sake, the Chestnut Parkway, there were 3 alignments that were gone through the public involvement process. 1 alignment was selected. We have roadway plans, roadway profile, roadway cross-sections that identify that particular corridor. So yes, we have the geometrics, shall we say? For your alignments to tie in for, yes, horizontally and vertically, yes, very key thing when you're building from 2 ends. So, yes, and that's what NCDOT, so you'll know, they currently are, they did hire a firm to start the environmental process for the middle piece. So we started out on our first piece from 74 to Matthews Indian Trail Road using the feasibility study. Then we handed off that feasibility study and that adopted alignment to the DOT's consultant to the piece over the bridge. And then the consultant that came up with this scope and fee had that same feasibility study alignment profile to tie into Old Monroe Road, which then is going to get very interesting with the super street configuration in the future with Old Monroe Road widening. So it is a pretty involved process. But yes, hopefully we're coming together.
Mr. Compton.
Just a quick comment. Obviously, you haven't seen Keitham building the toll road because they're all over the place. There's the bridge down here and a bridge 4 miles down the road. It's everywhere. And just one other funny thing. I lived outside of Seattle for 4 years, a long time ago. In Seattle, if anybody's ever been there, I think it's Highway 5. When they had the World's Fair there, I think it was in the early '60s. They wanted to impress the world and build all these future streets. And so they built all these highways and bridges. And I moved there 15 years later, and at the end of these bridges were fences. They went to nowhere. They were the bridges to nowhere. So I don't know how many millions of dollars they spent on these bridges to impress the world that there were going to be future roads that they never needed. But I didn't have to throw that in there with that this time.
At this time, I need a motion.
You cut me off pretty quick there. I'll make a motion to go forward with this.
Opposed, made the motion to approve. All in favor? That would be unanimous. Motion approved. Brings us to item B, council consideration to approve awarding bid for the Rogers Road sidewalk project. Mr. Caulfield, the floor is yours.
This is quite a long-awaited project. And the basis was here when I first got here. And however, this is also a good point to be at. And what you have before you is, since this is a federally funded project, so the way the process works, when you get to this point of ready to award for construction, we have to get the local government elected officials provide a resolution that you approve the construction contract. That goes to the state. It's going to take about 30 days for them to turn around to get their approval on that. Then it comes back to us, and then you can begin construction. So if you were to approve the resolution, let's say we might be able to start construction within 30 to 45 days, and it's about a 5-month project.
Wow.
And the limits of it are from Rogers Road to the end of our corporate limits, which is Village of Sun Valley.
Mr. Daniels.
There is grant money for this, correct?
Yes.
How much is that grant money?
We had one grant that covered 2 projects. This one has, I believe we're in the $550,000 to $650,000 range, depending on what our CEI costs will be.
Now, is this the type of grant money where we have to first put the money up, spend it, and we get reimbursed?
Yes.
Okay, so then my question is, where will we get that money from?
Street bond.
Street bond also?
Yes, that was the conversation from the decision that was made and passed. Again, it was going to be Transportation Improvement Fund, and then again, that got rolled over, so then it was agreed upon that we would use a street fund.
Okay.
And so we get, once you start construction, the last project we did, Unionville and New Trail Road, we, within the first 60 days, we were able to file for reimbursement of expenses incurred to date. So they, you don't have to wait until the end of the project. Once you start going, you can start filing. So.
There's no further questions. We'll need a motion. Mr.
I'll
Tom.
make a motion to approve it.
Tom's made the motion to approve the Rogers Road sidewalk project resolution. All in favor? That would be unanimous. Motion approved. Brings us to council consideration to direct staff planning board to prepare a UDO text amendment to allow for flexibility in dumpster enclosure material for change of use of facilities. This has been requested by Councilman Daniels. Sir, I'll read it for you.
Yes. You had missed the first one. You okay?
What first one?
We had one before, that's okay. Mr. Mayor and council, this is the second time that we're doing this. First time we had put this before council was a special meeting, so we couldn't amend the text amendment. But this is the same as the last time for the waste facilities, for change of use facilities, such as people who have homes and they convert the homes into a business. Typically, you get a business like an insurance company. You go from regular home and have it open up an insurance company, but they're still listed as a business, and they have to have a waste or dumpster enclosure as if they were a corporate structured business. So what I'm asking for staff is to consider looking at different materials to use for the dumpster enclosure. For example, if the ordinance now says you have to use brick, maybe we can say, well, perhaps we can do a different type of brick. But still, it would not look, it would not cheapen the look of the city, but it would give the business owner a chance to abide by the ordinance and continue to stay in the business without going bankrupt. So, and the reason I said it before is that we had asked this for other type of businesses, rather than use facilities. So this is just asking for staff to look at different materials and say what else is out there that we can use that will look good, but it wouldn't cost as much for the business owner. So the motion is on the floor is to have, again, staff to consider finding materials that would accomplish that end.
Just a quick question. Gordon, you had said, and I never thought of this, and I don't know that we talked about this before, and maybe I just misunderstood what you just said. But are we talking about residential areas that that someone may want to go into a residential area and say, hey, I want to make my house an insurance, put my office as an insurance there? Are we talking about that, or are we talking about commercial? Because and I may, like I said, might have just misunderstood you.
Well, that's a good point. I would imagine that if you're in a zoning area and you're going to be a business, they were zoned to be a business, so you wouldn't be a strictly residential area. If you look down Potter's Road, there's a lot of those that I can see where people have homes that are now insurance companies or other type of businesses. But to be honest with you, maybe Rox can add some information to that, to your question.
Okay, because I didn't know, and I just want to clarify that, because there's certain neighborhoods, and you may not be talking about neighborhoods, you were talking residential, but neighborhoods have their own restrictions on what you can put in a neighborhood. As far as, my neighborhood, you couldn't do it. It wouldn't matter. I don't think it would so much matter what the town would want, but the neighborhood would have restrictions on what you could put in and out.
And you're talking more like communities when you talk about
right. But when you said, that's when you said residential.
Right. But there are neighborhoods that are not communities that might fall into. But if you want to elaborate on that, Rox, I would appreciate it.
I believe the scenario or the real world scenario you're describing might best be articulated on Indian Trail Road. You have a good number of parcels that are in fact commercially zoned. The council zoned them commercial many years ago, but there weren't businesses located on those properties. People still live on Indian Trail Road, even though they may have commercial zoning. A business may take an interest in one of those properties and want to convert the house to an insurance office, a hair salon, or whatever type of business, and just do the building code requirements needed to make it a commercial establishment, as well as some of the other parking improvements that are needed. So I think that's the scenario, Mr. Daniels, that you're trying to articulate with change of use.
Correct.
Any other questions? There's no other questions. Mr. Daniels has a motion to approve having the staff prepare a UDO text amendment to bring back to council for use of other materials for these enclosures.
Correct.
All in favor? Opposed?
I'm in favor of it.
Okay. Opposed?
Are you opposed?
I'm not there.
Okay. Let the record stand. Vote was unanimous in favor. Scott, you understand what Mr. Daniels is asking for?
I do.
Okay, Kelly, have everything?
Now it's my understanding, that's why I have my hand raised, actually, is you're coming back with, we're not actually, if I'm understanding this right, and I may be wrong again, that we're not actually approving anything, we're just approving you to come back with something, correct?
You're just giving me marching orders.
There you go, that's what I thought, okay, all right.
Very good. The next item on the list is item D for the July 4th parade proclamation. Ms. Stanton has put that on there for me. Just to clarify, each year at the July 4th parade, I've had a proclamation for different veterans, and this year with council's approval, I'd like to move forward to have the council approve a proclamation dedicating July 4th this year to Korean War veterans, and bring back a proclamation to read and who once been put together and with the work of the council approved, et cetera, et cetera. If there's no objections, I'll get working on that.
No objection.
Okay, want a motion?
So So moved.
Mr. Daniels made the motion to approve, all in favor? Thank staff for the annual hop to it. Susan, we should thank Susan for all her hard work. There were quite a few families out there with children, and they seem to have a great time in the Henry Bridge Fire Department for providing services for safety. And the event went off real well. And Jason's not here, but I see the park's open for tournaments. I got a very rude education on that one morning, last Saturday at lunchtime. So I wish the staff a good, prosperous tournament season. Looks like it's going to be a good one. All the feedback I've been getting from the hundreds and hundreds of people that I see coming out of the parks for the tournament this past weekend is it's exceeding their expectations. So, great job. And other than that, thank everyone for coming. Lieutenant Coble, thanks for the great update. And the rest of the deputies, stay safe. Have a safe holiday. And hope to see you again soon.
Just want to thank everybody for coming, and just to make a really quick comment to you that I don't know if this made any difference, but our captain of our sheriff's department paid a visit to Blue Heaven this week, which is Chapel Hill, and I was just curious if did you come over to the good side from the dark side, or are you still are you still with the wrong color blue?
I'm resisting, but there's always a possibility. Okay, it was a nice trip, and it was it made me feel better being there. He's still on the other side.
Well, Chase, I appreciate you doing your good deed of trying to bring him over to the good side. So anyway, I just thank you for coming, and I'll look forward to the next meeting next week. Thank you.
We're
2 weeks. 2 weeks. Yeah.
We finished?
Well,
No,
yeah.
It's not 12 o'clock yet. We have a lot of time. I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. Like I said, we do have a lot of time. There's two things I want to touch base on. One, I want to read this into Granicus and into the minutes and give it to Kelly to make it part of the meeting. It's called, I got an email today, and I don't want to read it. It's kind of lengthy, but it's got some good points in it. It's called Budget Discussions. So I'm going to give this to you at the end of the meeting to make part of it. And I just want to share with everyone a story that I heard. I was at a function a couple of weeks ago. I was there, and Sheriff Caffey was there also, and everyone that was there kind of shared the same sentiments when they heard the story. I don't know if everyone recall the story called the kissing story that happened back in 1958 in Monroe. The girl kissed the two boys, and then she went home and told her parents about it, and the two boys were arrested, and I think they were in jail for like 6 or 7 days. The outcome of that story was, as it was told by Judge Helms, was that one of the boys had said that even after the town was happy and smiling again, the two boys, they never got an apology. And they said one boy, it affected him to into his adult years. He says, no one ever said, hey, we made a mistake, we were sorry about this. And that got me to thinking, and I spoke to Judge Helms later on, and he said, yeah, he said it impacted one gentleman so bad that he never had what he called a normal life. He always felt as if something was wrong with him. And I said, it's amazing how we never think about sometimes just saying you're sorry when you are, and not doing it has an effect. So I just wanted to mention that story to everyone to think about that. A lot of times we go along our lives and we just don't think about things, but I think if a person is doing an apology, that they should be given that apology. Yes, it is something, but you know what happens? It keeps going on and on and on. But it does have a bad side to it. So, you know, we could say what we want here, but the fact of the matter is, apologies that go undone affects people. Thank you.
Mark Baldwin.
Well, I just want to thank the residents for sticking around. No, we're not too late tonight, which is good. I think we may be setting a record, actually, which is good. And you know, it's interesting. We talked about apologies, and I've yet to hear an apology to the residents for not asking the right questions at the right time, which has cost the residents an additional $1.7 million in cost overruns. So, you know, it's when you want to talk about apologies, let's talk about apologies as it affects the towns and the residents, and not asking the right questions until a different majority comes into council. You know, I think that to me would be more of an apology that would be more meaningful and would carry more weight going forward. So that's all I'll say on the apology front. And Chase and law enforcement, you guys always lead when I say thank you for what you do. But no, thanks for keeping us safe. I know we did it again.
Quit eating those cookies back there. We'll get back after it's over.
But we just love that the snacks are here. You know, and thank council again for another good meeting. I think we continue to make good progress in this town. So definitely we've done a lot of work over the past 90 days. Looking forward to continuing doing that work going forward. Looking forward to the next meeting. Everybody stay safe this weekend and the upcoming holiday.
I'm going to start off by thanking the residents who are here, and especially the ones who are always here. Thank you, staff, for always doing such a wonderful job for the town, and Lieutenant Coble and sidekick. Thank you, guys. The applicants of tonight that we, congratulations. Thank you for putting your names in the hats and doing a great, you know, helping us and doing what you can. Everybody have a wonderful Easter. Enjoy your, some of us are going on to spring break. Enjoy. I'll be working. That's it. Have a great night.
Motion to adjourn?
No, closed session, somewhere along the way.